This episode of the Mad Rush podcast.
When it comes to running a business, I would say don't necessarily focus on the thing that you're best at. Focus on the thing that your business needs. Be very careful, okay, that you choose wisely what you want to focus on. And that's hard, right? Because you're going to have to do something you're not very good at usually, but you need to get good at it eventually.
Welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addicks, the original Sorority Rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. Y'all, I am so excited. My book, The Rush Bible, is available for pre-order from Simon & Schuster. It's coming out next May, but you can order it now, and it's going to be great for anyone who's considering going through Sorority Rush. This is the book for you. You can order it today. The link is in the show notes, and it's also on my Instagram at Rush with Confidence. And I can't wait to get this great information on how to crush Sorority Rush out to all of you. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I appreciate you. Okay, so y'all know this podcast is all about connections, and I have one of my very favorite connections here today. My old friend, she's old, I'm not. Just kidding. My birthday was, I guess, day before yesterday, and now I feel really old. This is the first year that it's hit me. But my friend Sarah Alvarez is here, and we're all about connections and what's going on in our lives and pivoting, all the things. So welcome, Sarah. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. Glad to do it. Glad to catch up with you and talk all things.
All things.
All things. We got lots.
So we first met, when Alvy and Michael played baseball together. Was that when we started being friends?
Yep. When they were on the Hurricanes.
And how old were they? This is my older son and her only son.
Yeah. I would say.
I remember the uniform.
I remember the uniform, 6th grade, 7th grade.
It was, weren't the Madron, or one of the Madrons was on there with us?
I think so. Yes, Brett Madron was on there.
Yeah.
That's when he started hitting bombs.
Yeah, that's when Brett Madron became a really, really good baseball player. Yeah. And our kids, Alvy was very good, her son. Yeah. But
my favorite was when it was field day when the kids were in middle school and they were in the playoffs and John was pitching and Michael was catching and John had a headache and Michael carried him around on his back all day so he'd be ready to pitch that night.
Okay, that's hilarious. That is so funny. It's so weird how we remember stuff.
Just like that was like, he's like, yeah, Mom, I didn't do anything. Michael carried me on his back. I'm ready to pitch tonight.
That is so Michael. Gosh.
That's great.
That's awesome. So we then started doing boot camp together, Cammie. And at this boot camp, I think this was the first time Sarah said this to me, y'all, and it has stuck with me literally to this day. I want to say this was 15. How many years ago? 15 years ago. She said, and this is the moral or the theme of this podcast, she said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I remember being like, basically, tell me what you meant by that. I know, but tell me what you meant.
Well, I think at that point, I had already been involved in opening a new business. And the meaning is basically like, there's really, when you start a business or anything you're starting, working out, business or whatever, there's no end, okay? You don't get to the end of something. You just solve something, you get to the next thing, you solve something, you get to the next thing, it's full of problems. Working out is full of just getting to the next one and building strength. So the meaning is very simple. You're just always getting to the next thing and you got to solve that and get to the next thing. If you don't solve it, it just piles up. And if you sprint to solving everything, you'll just never make it.
Yeah. So that's so cool. And that is, I'm going to back up. So when I started my company, well, first, why don't we tell them a little bit about your background, like where you went to college, where you're from, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
They're probably like, why the hell does she have this this random lady
Why
on here.
why
What?
does anybody
So
want to even know where I'm from? So I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia, to a very large Lebanese family.
huge.
Huge, which was great in a million ways. Went to school at East Tennessee State University, where I was an 80 Pi.
Alpha.
What else is my background? I worked in finance for a little bit. And then, so I think when you and I knew each other, okay, I had my toy company that's, as you know, I remember the day you bought one from me. That made me so happy.
Yes.
You were with your brother at Sandy Springs. I remember that day.
Golly. I'm gonna start hanging out with you again because you got some memories, man.
Yeah, I do. I just, when people do things like that, you just remember, right? They're just impactful.
That's so true. It's so impactful. It really is. And
People remember things like that when they're journeying through something like you're doing right now and what I've been through. Idbids, when we founded that toy company and then took a break and then went to Cristo and took a tiny little bit of break and then Waxpot. So really three startups over the course of the last 17, 18 years.
well, and I'm going to interrupt you because that's a really good point. So what I was going to say, back to me, let's talk about me. Who cares about you? I'm just kidding. Sarah is clearly accomplished entrepreneur. And when I decided to start my company, It's All Greek to Me, we went to lunch at Whole Foods. I do remember that because who eats at Whole Foods except for Sarah? She's the healthiest eater ever. I was like, can we go to Zaxby's? So we went to Whole Foods and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to start this company. And by the end of the lunch, you had set up my email. You had started to give me advice and continued to give me advice. And it was such a life-altering moment for me. I still have that freaking Yahoo email because this was, a long time ago. And so it was before the, Trisha at itsallgreektome.com or whatever. And I reached out, or someone reached out to me on Instagram the other day and I was like, you're going to DM'd me and I was like, you're going to have to email me because I can't keep this stuff straight. And so she said, okay, what's your email? And I said, rushwithconfidence@yahoo.com. And she was like, wait, what? She's like, you have a Yahoo address? I was like,
Gotta get with it, Trisha.
I know. Well, it's your fault. So
okay. It's all my fault. That's okay.
It's your fault. I have just recently been working on changing that, but I still have it. Anyway, By the end of this lunch, I was so inspired, and I always have been so inspired by your work ethic and your ability to pivot and your just, I already said work ethic, but like explain Idbids, because I think that's an interesting story for as much as you want to.
Yeah, I can talk about it now without, whatever. So in 2006 it was, not that it matters, 2007, a partner and I launched a toy at the toy fair in New York called Idbids, Itty Bitty Steps for a Greener World. That was our tagline. And we had created 3 stuffed animals with a field kit and lessons for children to learn how to be green. We launched to great acclaim. Honestly, we had Mattel interested in us, Hasbro interested in us, and then 2007 came, and we were in Toys R Us and in some other places as well, online, etc. And the market crashed, and everything crashed. And Toys R Us put us on sale. And then we went back to the toy fair the next year, but we were really struggling to stay alive. We just could not get the traction that we needed at such a difficult time in the world. The economy had just, cratered. Remember Bear Stearns and all of that. So.
Oh, was that then?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was hanging on to that, knowing when to hang on to something when it was clearly the market wasn't ready for us anymore. Everything closed up as far as conversations that we were having. So we had to close shop, and it didn't go very well between us. And we can talk about that. I know we're going to talk about later in the podcast about exiting and how to exit and how to have an exit. And we did not have one. And so it was not.
I remember that. Well, so I think there's some important things that you just talked about, and this can apply to anything. It's knowing, like, I want to talk about the exit strategy. I don't have one, by the way, so that's kind of scary.
Get one.
Okay. Being able to persevere, because you did persevere through, but then knowing when to pull the plug, which is really.
Yeah. Well, also, I think one of the most important things you can do, no matter what you're doing, is you've got to be with the right people in the right seats. Okay. Now, had we been seeing the world the same, my partner and I, we may have been able to get through it, but she decided differently than I did for whatever reasons. Okay. And we did not handle it the same. We did not handle it together as partners. And that was our downfall because we were not on the same page.
Gotcha.
I think we could have made it. I still think to this day, we had a very relevant, I still think to this day.
Oh, yeah.
We had an incredible thing that could have caught fire, and people can get in their own way. And that's exactly what happened.
And it's so relevant. I mean, you were an environmentalist before
I was really an environmentalist. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it was a toy idea and we got lots of attention and lots of love. And we were in the Hasbro toy testing environment with kids. They were testing it and telling us what they thought. So it matters who you're in partnership with. It matters that you're on the same page.
Did y'all start off on the same page and then diverge?
Yes, because money changes people. It changes things. And we don't have it coming in, and you've got to continue to decide to pursue. You both have to be okay with that. Money isn't everything. But when you have revenue in your business, it solves a lot of problems that you have to face, right? A business is solving problems every day. That's just all you do, right? You just solve problems every day. And when you have revenue, it's easier to solve them than when you don't.
Yeah, that's like money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you a boat.
Solves you problems.
Yeah.
That's right. It allows you to do things the way you want to do them.
Right.
And when you don't have them, and then two people are maybe not in the same situation financially, to be able to weather whatever comes, then you're in trouble. That's what happens.
So talk to me, and I want to talk about what you did next, but talk to me about this exit strategy. I swear, we didn't make notes, y'all, for this, and I don't really even know what an exit strategy is. And I'm making notes.
Yeah. Well, I honestly don't know what one is because we didn't make one, but we should have made, okay? And had we done that, and you do it when things are good. You do it when you are at the beginning stages of your partnership, okay? If you are in partnership with somebody on this business, I would just say, look, how are we going to get out of this thing? Because you can't do it forever. And what does that look like? What does it feel like? And honestly, don't know. I just know that if we would have had one that would have suited our business, it could have made it, we could have maybe handled things less emotionally, right? And more strategically.
Is this kind of like, just equating this like a prenup?
I think so. Probably.
Just having a plan in place in case.
Just have a plan in place because nothing's forever. You're going to part ways. It's going to happen. And the chances of it happening at the same time for the both of you, that your life is taking the same parallel track, right? And we both want to exit at the same time, that's not likely.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. So after it bids, what did you do?
I took a little bit of a break.
To make snacks for baseball games.
Make snacks for baseball games, exactly. I heard Bill Garrett talk about the Cristo Ray School that was going to open in Atlanta.
Oh, I remember Bill. Okay.
And I sat there and I said, okay. So I approached him after he spoke and I said, I would like to come and help. And he said, okay, but I don't have any money. I said, that's okay. So I went down there to the school, which wasn't a school yet. It was in a beat up old building on West Peachtree.
Oh yeah, I've been there many times.
You've been there many times.
But
right?
I think you're painting a good picture.
I went down there a few days a week as a volunteer, helping sort through applications of students that wanted to come in. Because at that point, we didn't have work-study partners yet, no students yet.
So let's back up and explain Cristo Ray here.
Sure. So Cristo Ray Atlanta Jesuit High School is a high school in downtown Atlanta that is for low-income families only. That the first thing you have to do to qualify is be low income. The way the school works is students go to school 4 days a week and they go to work 1 day a week. And so what does that mean? That there's the corporate work study component is how the school generates revenue, but it also gives students real world experience. So for example, a student that gets assigned to Coca-Cola, which was our very, very first corporate work study partner.
I remember that,
right?
yeah.
Okay? And when Coca-Cola says yes, then lots lots of people follow, right? So that was a very big deal. Shout out to Nancy Ford. So at Coca-Cola. So John would go to Coca-Cola on Monday, and 3 of his other colleagues at school would go. Somebody would go Tuesday, somebody go Wednesday, somebody would go Thursday, and they would rotate Friday. And they had real jobs, and they would go 1 day a week and do a real job. And Coca-Cola pays Cristo Rey in return for that. So they are employing a cohort of students, and then that pays for much of their tuition. And so year 1, we needed a 40-some corporate work partners, and we got them, but I think they're up to like 125 or 130.
Wow. That's
in order to employ 500 students.
Wow. So that's how many students there now? 500?
They aim for 500. There's some, you take 500. It's a very, very, very hard academic school, right? So these students often don't come from a place that's highly academic. Some students push through and make it. They have to have, the support of their parents, and some it's just too much.
Right.
So, but ultimately, you want a school of 500.
Wow. And so you started there volunteering, and then...
I started volunteering, and then I started working there. I think I was employee number 6, and I was communications and managing volunteers, of which we needed a lot, right? So we built the mentor program, which you were part of. I built that program.
Did you do that? Did you build that?
Yes.
So this was cool, y'all. I had a student, and I won't use her name, but I started working with her in 9th grade, and I was a mentor for her. And the difference in her life and my kid's life and my life, it was very stark. The difference, it was a very, for instance, she rode 2.5 hours each way, leaving her house at 5 a.m. to get to school on a bus. And she had to switch the bus a few times. She had brothers and sisters that she would take and drop because her parents were both working, night shift or whatever. So she would drop them for early morning care, get on the bus, go and do a full rigorous academic day, then take the bus back 2.5 hours. And during the winter, it would get dark. So she couldn't even do her homework on the bus because she couldn't see. And I remember I was blown away by the amount of dedication she had to her education and to bettering herself. And, I was a mentor to her, but I learned a lot more from her and just about the world than she did from me, because I was trying to fix things by buying her a book light. That's my answer, is to buy a book light so you have a book light on the bus. But
it didn't matter, because that's what you could do. So,
right. But so you worked for Cristo Rey, and then this is a full circle, tied up with a full circle, but then what did you do? Well,
I was there for 4 years, and then took a little break from that, and then started with Waxpot, which is a company that my brother started in 2018, and finished that up 2 weeks ago.
So Waxpot, y'all, was a wax studio, and it was very well run by Sarah. I think had a lot of locations. We don't need to talk about that. But so then what led you? So now you're back in the Cristo Rey camp. So
yeah, and I kind of always have been. A couple of years ago, when I worked there, they had to get accredited, right? Mm-hmm. And that was super important for that first class to be accepted into college, that they came from an accredited high school. So I was I was one of many committee members that helped them get accredited through SAIS. Okay. Well, you have to get accredited. You have to reaccreditate, or whatever the word is. I'm sorry.
Just make up a word. It's fine.
Every 5 years.
The reaccreditationist of...
Glinda from Wicked. But
yeah. That's our favorite thing.
I know.
I think of you every time have you seen the new Wicked movie that's out?
No, going this weekend.
Are you? Is it in theaters?
Oh yeah. Where you been? Hello.
I don't, since COVID, I don't go to movies anymore.
Oh, well, I love to go to the movies.
I couldn't, obviously I was freaked out about it. We used to be big moviegoers. Same. Then COVID hit, and I don't know what it will take to get me back into movie theater.
Well, there's lots of good ones out now, because when I see the previews, I'm kind of excited. So it's back. So highly encouraged. But I don't even know what I was talking about.
You were talking about going back to
Cristo Rey. So 5 years later, they have to go through the process again. And so Camille, who's now the president, and she was a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah, love Camille.
Love Camille during our time. I was Rhoda, she was Mary. That's how we got through Cristo Rey. She asked me if I would help, sort of spearhead. So a couple of years ago, I helped to spearhead the group of faculty and staff that had to present evidence to SAIS to be reaccredited. So I was able to do that on the Capital Campaign Committee now, and then also working with one of their alumni who was in the very, very first class, just generally helping her with whatever she needs.
So what do you think what is the most rewarding part for you now, or of those three pretty major things that you've done, entrepreneurial, and y'all, Sarah has a very good mind for business and entrepreneur. I can't say that word. So what has been the most meaningful thing that you've done? And I'm going somewhere with this because I think that, answer the question.
Meaningful thing. I mean,
in each thing. So in IDBIDS, like what lesson did you learn? Obviously, I think you already covered IDBIDS, but if there was something different.
So I think we covered that for IDBIDS. I think at WaxPod it was creating. So although I had the location in Sandy Springs, and I was also and have been working in the corporate side in operations, marketing operations for the corporate side. So when I sold the store in 2023, I was still doing stuff for corporate. We had 23 stores before we sold. So back to having that store in Sandy Springs, I think that providing a workplace where the women that were working there could make a good living, and I took that very, 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 very seriously, honestly, to my detriment of making more money for myself.
I can see that totally.
Yeah, it just was important. It's like, it just was important. And I think I did that.
Right. Well, that's very cool. So now you've decided that you're taking a step back from the corporate stuff and you're working with Cristo, Ray. And y'all, if you don't know about, she's told you about it, but it's a really cool thing. And if you're listening, they can use your money. It's a very cool setup. And it really empowers these kids. And part of what I do, and I'm not trying to equate Sorority Rush Consulting with empowering low-income kids, but it's all about having some purchase or control over your destiny. And that's a very important thing to feel. And when people come to me after they've had like an unsuccessful rush and they just feel lost and isolated, and giving them some control over the process, like this is what you do, a plan. This is what you do. This is how you get, move forward, is so important. And especially at that age, I feel like it's giving some control over your destiny, trickles down even just like I said to Sorority Rush. I'm not equating.
That's right. You just want you want whatever's appropriate, agency over your life and your choices. And that doesn't mean it's always going to work out, because it's not. Let's just be clear. It's not always going to work out. But as you said at the top of this podcast, and I remember distinct moments having this conversation with my kids, is, you were just born lucky. That's it. You're no smarter, no more talented. Your zip code is your zip code. And that's that. And it's a myth, that we all need to understand here, that working hard is super important. But without the opportunity, it just doesn't work.
I've said this a million times, because no one in our world, with the things that we've had, the advantages we've had, yes, you can say you're self-made, but you're not. You can be self-made, but you have to understand, and I've said this on this podcast a lot, you're starting way past the start line.
You're on third base.
Right, exactly. You're on third base.
You're on third base. And I remember distinctly being at a baseball game, varsity game, when John was playing, and we played a team. where John went to high school was a program, and then we would play teams. And there's a big difference. Okay. And of course they ruled them, our team run. By the fourth inning, it was 20 to, it was ridiculous. And I just remember, and I was working at Cristo Ray at the time, and I just remember saying to John, that you guys are not any better. Okay. You just have more booster money, and you've got good bats, and you have a great glove, and you've got a pitching coach, and and he knew that. Okay.
Well, yeah, your kids for sure know that.
I feel like they know that without having to tell them that. Yeah, it's just opportunity. And Cristo Ray does that, right? We've got to break the cycle of these kids doing what their parents are doing, which is admirable work, and they're doing what they need to do in order to give their kids the best life they know how. But if you want something more and you want to be college educated, then then breaking that cycle is what Cristo Ray does.
And hard work is the common thread, but understanding, I do what I do. And I used to kind of get mad when someone would just really, their life would not get mad, but I would try to give them the awareness. Okay, yes, your life is not over because you didn't get the sorority you want. But conversely, it is I don't know how to say this. It is so important mentally at that time that it is really, really important. But so it's hard to maintain the perspective.
Of course. We're not trying to say it's not important to that person. It's all relative, right?
Right. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just.
But to come out of that funk and understand you're on third base, okay? And when you're ready for that conversation, that means that you're going to be able to slide home next year, okay? Or in the spring or something, right? But you're going to get home.
Right. Okay? Exactly.
Because you're already on third base. And that's just hard for any kid. You don't want to feel guilty because you grew up in a situation that provided opportunity, but you just want to be aware of your opportunity.
Exactly. And that's it. The awareness. And that is, I feel like that's my job, with these people, is to say, you've got all the tools. So you've got more than most. Have a good cry. Very fair. It's all the things you feel are not wrong. But now what are you going to do? Right. Exactly. And that's in my book plug. This is the wash your face plan is, give yourself time to grieve it. And then let's wash our face and get going. Okay. Rapid fire questions for you, Sarah Lou Alvarez. Okay. Best advice you've ever received. When it comes to running a business, I would say don't necessarily focus on the thing that you're best at. Focus on the thing that your business needs. Oh, that's good. A lot of people just go and do the thing that they're really good at inside their business world and in their mind, but that's not necessarily what your business needs. Love that. Okay. So be very careful, okay, that you choose wisely what you want to focus on for that day, that week, that month, or whatever it is. So, and that's hard, right? Because you're going to have to do something you're not very good at usually, but you need to get good at it eventually. I think another piece of that is surrounding yourself with people who have different skill sets from you. Absolutely. I think the second thing I would say, and that is the people that you hire matter. So hire slow, fire fast. Just do not fill a seat with the wrong person. Just don't do it. You will be in trouble. Every single thing I do in my life, and I'm working on this, is a quick decision. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but that's really good advice because I really do. I'll decide a wallpaper. Recently, a friend of mine who's an interior designer sent me some wallpaper samples because I need to wallpaper my office. And I was like, okay, I like that one. She's like, oh, okay, slow your roll. You got to find out if you got to measure, you got to find out if it's available. You got to find the lead time. I was like, but and I still haven't wallpapered my office because that became a longer process and a longer decision. And so, but then I also have a close friend that we both know who's the opposite, and she never makes a decision. So I think a happy medium. Yeah, a happy medium is good. I'm like you. I'll decide wallpaper. I go fast, but when it comes to business, there are some things you can go fast on, but when it comes to the people, they're going to enter your orbit. Okay. That I would slow your roll. That's time. Great advice. And I need to take that as well. Okay. Next rapid fire question that became not rapid fire. What do you wish you knew when you started all of this, when you were young Sarah, West Virginia? I wish that I wasn't as cynical about things as I should have been. And I don't mean that in a bad way, okay? But just because I approach something a certain way, don't assume another person is going to approach it that way. It's also gold nugget. When IdBid split up, I never dreamed that this person, it did not conceive to me that she would behave the way that she behaved. Because I wouldn't do that. That was young and naive. Yeah, that's a good point. And a quote that I live by, and I also tell my clients all the time, disappointment comes from expectation. So if your expectation is that they're going to be like you and handle things like you're probably going to be disappointed, or you might be disappointed. Guess what? Every time. Never fails. So we're terrible about this. But so last question, how do we stay connected as friends when life gets crazy? We're going to work on this, Sarah.
Oh gosh, just get rid of the bad ones and keep the good ones.
That's really, I don't listen to podcasts, which is weird since I have one. I listened to this one. That has been a recurring theme in, like, I see snippets on Instagram, which I know you don't do social media, but I see snippets on Instagram, and that seems to be a recurring theme. Like, you don't have to remain friends.
No.
And there are different seasons in life. So
that's exactly right.
And that's also for my listeners who might have daughters going through a different season. It's okay if she switches friends. It's okay if she.
Well, you know what? And let her. It's not your business. It's like more than likely something has happened that you don't know about. Okay. My daughter tells me everything. No, they don't. So she's got something.
She's got a reason. That's a very good point. I remember when one of my sons didn't like this kid, and I could not figure out why they didn't like this kid. And I kind of argued with them about it. I'm like, oh, he's great. La, 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 la. And then it came out years later that he was not a good kid at that time. And I was like, I should have trusted them.
Exactly. And I think also for women and young girls, you have to build your gut, like what feels right and what doesn't feel right. And if you are not honing that craft, right, about this situation isn't good, right? This situation, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be there. You've got to hone that yourself. And look, my kids went to college way far away. I didn't track them on their phone. I didn't know what they were doing. I just go figure it out and hone your own skills and what you think is right for yourself. And you'll make plenty of mistakes, but they're yours. I don't want any responsibility for that.
Well, and you've done a good job of walking the walk that you taught. I remember I was taking Matthew home, and it was snowing and wet and cold in Atlanta. And I see your son walking down the street, and I'm like, where are you going? And he's like, I got to go. I guess he was walking to, I don't know, basketball practice. I don't know. I was like, do you want to ride? He's like, no, I'm good. And I was like, where's your mom? And, knowing very well that you're a very good friend of mine. And he's like, she's at home. She told me to figure it out. I was like, okay. So it's a hard thing to do, but you definitely have mastered that. And it's
a very hard thing to do. My parents did it because they had 6 kids in 7 years. It was not logistically possible for them to know what we were doing all the time.
Right. And I do think that your background helped you with that, because you were on the reservation. And all of y'all were just figuring it out. So, but anyway, that's a very cool thing. And I love that point, as it's very, very hard to let our kids figure it out by themselves. But it also, I see this a lot in what I do. It does not work if you try to control it.
It doesn't work. It never works.
Right.
Never.
And it's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay. So tell people, first off, spell Cristo Rey, because for the longest time, I had an H in there. And so tell people how they can learn about Cristo Rey. I think that you guys should really look into it. It's a really unique and cool thing. Spell it and tell them how they can find it.
CRISTOREY. So CristoReyAtlanta.org.
.org. Okay.
But Cristo, CRISTO, Rey, REY, Atlanta Jesuit High School.
Yes. And this will be in the show notes. Click on it and learn more about it. And I am so grateful that you shared your wisdom. Y'all, she is a rock star. She's a great business mind and an incredible mom, an incredible human. So I'm honored you were here today.
Yes, and I want to just congratulate you, because I know what it takes for you to still be sitting in that seat, still be doing what you're doing. And anybody can come up with an idea and start something, but a lot of people can't keep going with it. That's the difference. So
thank you.
Congratulations to you and your book that's coming out. And that it's just not easy. It's just not.
Well, I appreciate you recognizing that. And you're the second I have tears in my eyes. You're the second person in 2 days to tell me that. So sometimes when it is hard, it's hard to believe. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here. I love you. I think you're amazing. And y'all check out Cristo Rey, Atlanta.org.
Thanks for having me, Trisha. Good to see you. Love to all you all. Merry Christmas.
So as we head into the holidays, I'm taking a break from Time Out with Trisha podcast segments. In the meantime, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence, where I'll continue sharing tips and information to keep you inspired. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush Podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence. If you would like to reach out to us or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Addicks.